When you look around today, it can feel like we're living in an age of constant crisis. And we often search for solutions out there. But what if the most powerful tool for getting through it all is already hardwired into our biology? Today, we're diving into the care system, a concept from the work of Dr. Verena Kast. The basic idea is that our ability to care isn't just a nice feeling, it's an evolutionary inheritance designed to help us navigate the toughest challenges.
We're facing so many huge problems all at once, ecological, political, social, and it's easy to feel completely paralyzed by it all. So the real question isn't just, how do we cope? It's, where do we find a source of strength that won't run out? The answer this framework offers is pretty surprising. It's not about some external strategy, but something deep inside our own neurobiology. So here's our game plan. First, we'll set the stage and look at why the world feels so overwhelming right now. Then, we'll dive into the 7 basic emotional systems that are built into our brains. After that, we'll get practical and talk about how to actually activate the care system. We'll look at a perfect real-world example, friendship. And finally, we'll zoom out and ask what it would mean to shift our entire society toward a culture of caring.
Okay, let's start by getting a handle on our current moment. Because, let's be honest, we are living through a time defined by a whole lot of challenges, all hitting us at once. This isn't just a vague sense of anxiety. Dr. Kast's work calls this a state of multiple crises, and it puts a huge psychological weight on all of us. When the threats feel constant and are this complex, our normal ways of coping just get exhausted. We're left feeling like we have no power to change things. And you can actually measure this impact. Just look at this data from a 2021 study of 10,000 young people. It reveals just how deep climate anxiety runs. While 84% say they're moderately worried, a huge 59%, that's nearly 6 out of 10, report being extremely worried. And for almost half of them, these feelings are directly impacting their daily lives. This is not some abstract fear, it's a chronic reality. You know, there's even a specific name for this kind of distress. The philosopher Glenn Albrecht coined the term solastalgia. It describes that particular grief you feel when your home, your environment, is being degraded or destroyed around you. He put it perfectly. It's the homesickness you feel when you haven't even left home. So, given this really tough landscape, where do we find the tools to respond? Well, the answer lies in understanding the biological source code of our emotions, which is grounded in the groundbreaking work of a neuroscientist named Jack Panksepp. Panksepp's core insight was that our emotional lives aren't just something we learn from our culture. They're actually rooted in ancient, evolved neural networks that we share with other mammals. These systems, as he said, are a gift of evolution, basically hardwired into our biology to help us survive and thrive. And here they are, Panksepp's 7 primary emotional systems. You'll see some familiar ones, like fear and rage, but there's also seeking, which is our drive for curiosity, and play, our capacity for social joy. Each of these is a distinct circuit in the brain. For our purposes, though, the one that's absolutely crucial is the last one on this list. This brings us to the care system. It's our biological imperative to nurture, to show affection, and to support each other. In Kast's view of Panksepp's work, this isn't some soft skill. It's a fundamental evolutionary gift. It is the literal neurobiological hardware we all have to connect with and protect one another. A powerful built-in counterforce to all that anxiety and destruction. Okay, so if we all have this incredible system built right in, the big question becomes, how do we switch it on? Let's explore the 2 main pathways for strengthening our capacity for care. First, we have to understand the world we're operating in. The source material talks about something called the culture of uncare, a culture defined by endless competition, profit-seeking, and a constant drive for more and more. What we want to do is consciously shift away from that and move towards a culture of care, one that's founded on recognition, solidarity, and connection. The whole challenge is moving from the left column to the right. The ways to do this are basically twofold. The first pathway is pretty intuitive. It's about actively cultivating positive emotions, like hope, joy, and awe. The second pathway is maybe a bit more surprising. It requires us to deliberately process our negative emotions through the shared act of collective grieving. And the difference here is backed by cognitive science. Negative emotions like fear and anxiety literally narrow our range of thinking. They focus us only on the immediate threat. But positive emotions, hope, joy, awe, they do the exact opposite. They broaden our perspective, they spark creativity and collaboration, and in doing so, they build up our psychological and social resources for the long haul. Now, that second pathway is a bit of a paradox. To activate care, we first have to let ourselves feel the pain of loss together. The argument is that instead of suppressing our grief over what's happening to our planet and our societies, we need to create rituals to collectively mourn what's being lost. And this process has a clear structure. You start by honestly acknowledging the loss. Then you create a space to share all the messy, chaotic feelings that come with it: the grief, the fear, the anger. The third step is memory work, recalling and cherishing what was valuable about what's been lost. And all of this leads to the final crucial step: re-engaging with the world, not out of despair, but with a renewed love for what's still here and a shared commitment to protect it. It actually transforms pain into connection and action. Now, these pathways might seem a little theoretical, but Dr. Kast argues we have a perfect, everyday model for the care system in practice: the structure of friendship. More than 2,000 years ago, Aristotle understood something absolutely fundamental about being human. Friendship isn't a luxury. He called it the most necessary thing for life. It's the arena where all the principles of the care system are lived out, every single day. And when you break friendship down into its core parts, you see a perfect mirror of the care system. It starts with benevolence, that mutual goodwill, which builds a foundation of trust that lets you be vulnerable. From that secure base, friends inspire you to grow, and they provide that network of support you need to face life's challenges. It's the care system in microcosm. And this all leads to the paper's final and most ambitious idea. Can the principles of this microcosm of friendship be scaled up to the level of an entire society? The paper really frames our modern challenge as a fundamental choice. We can either keep going down a path defined by hypercompetition, that culture of uncare, or we can consciously decide to pivot toward a society built on the very same principles as our deepest relationships: care, mutual recognition, and solidarity. And this isn't presented as some utopian fantasy. It's actually framed as a pragmatic and necessary response to our crises. It's about aiming for what is humanly possible, using the innate biological tools we already have to navigate a difficult and uncertain future, together. So in the end, the care system isn't something we need to invent. It's a gift of our evolution. It's part of our biological heritage. And that leaves us with the real question: if we can consciously choose to elevate it from a private virtue to a public principle, making it the foundation of our collective future, what would that world look like? And what's the first step we can take to start building it?